Okay, chapter 6. Okay, so until now, we were talking about the godly soul. The godly soul's personality, its intellectual parts, its emotional parts, its essence, its expression, and how it connects with Hashem, with its thought, speech, and action. And now we're going to talk about the animal soul, our other part of ourselves, that feels much more real than our godly soul. So it says, Zel umase asalikim. This corresponding this, God created the world. God created the world as a balance of good and evil. And he put in the world good and evil. He put inside of us good and evil so that we can have free choice. So we can choose the good. It shouldn't be too obvious to us, the good. We should have to choose it and work to get there. He did this in the world. We see the world, right? There's good and evil. And then within ourselves, within our own makeup, there's the divine soul and the animal soul. And the animal soul is exactly like the godly soul. The godly soul, we said, has 3 intellectual faculties and 7 emotional faculties. It thinks and it feels. And the animal soul also has a mind of its own and a gut and a heart of its own. Now, the animal soul is actually found in the blood, in the heart. It's in the heart, in our blood, in our body. And the godly soul is found in the brain. And so the godly soul and the animal soul operate very differently. The godly soul is first found in the brain, and then from the brain, it spreads out to the rest of the body. So anything that's godly, that's connecting to God, that's in the world or within ourselves, is something that we have to use our mind to think about and then contemplate, chew it over, and come to a feeling for God, for a love for God, for a fear for God. Any of these feelings that we have that are really true and are things that we have to come to and think about and contemplate in order to get there, because godliness is abstract. God is abstract and we can't touch it and feel it. It feels very far away from us. In order for it to become a real part of us, of our makeup, of ourselves, of the way we think and work, we have to really think it through. And then we can actually start to have feelings for it and make it a part of our life. So the godly soul requires work because it's not something that's natural to us. It's something that actually needs to take more work. Anything that we have to really think about, right, that doesn't instinctively come to us, always requires thinking it over, coming back to it. And most of the times that we're really thinking things over, and we're coming from a godly place. So the godly soul always needs time to think things over. To first it thinks and then it reacts, and then it and it's always acting with kedusha, with holiness, and its goal is to be one with Hashem. So it's always not about itself, but about the greater goal and mission of why it's here, why Hashem put it here, and therefore it's always going to be connecting to anything that it does is always going to be with connection to God and this unity that he wants so much to bring into himself and into the world. Now the animal soul also has intellectual and emotional faculties. It also thinks and feels, but it predominantly first feels. That's why the animal soul is in the heart. It's like if you have a piece of cake in front of you, right? Or a good piece of steak, right? Do you have to think twice? No. As soon as you see it, you want it, right? It's your emotions, right? And your feelings don't need to think it through before you eat it, because it's something just right here. You see it, it's real, and you can munch on it. It's delicious and enjoy it, right? So the animal soul is first found in the heart, and then it goes to the brain. Now the brain how does it work with the animal soul? Because we said it's zel umasa, it has to be exactly the same the way God created with balance. So animal soul also does have a brain. But the brain of the animal soul is all about what is it that I want, right? The maturity of a person on how, sophisticated he is, that's how sophisticated his wants and desires will be. An adult will want a Lamborghini and a child will want a toy car. And the other part of the brain is also telling it how to get what it wants. How can I indulge in my temptation? How can I get that best piece of steak? How can I, and the animal soul is all about self-preservation, while the godly soul is all about connection with God, doing the greater purpose and goal of why it's here. So the animal soul is about self-preservation. Not bad, but it's about me, I, ego. Godly soul is putting that out of the way and wanting to be completely one with God. And the way to tell if something is coming from our animal soul or a godly soul is the ooh and the ah. Things that are harder for us, first we're like ooh, and then ah, wow, this feels good. This requires work, but at the end I'll be happy with the final result because I know this is the truth and this is what Hashem wants. And then it feels fulfilled. It feels really good inside. Versus the ah and then the ooh. Indulging and then afterwards feeling, ooh, this wasn't so good for me. This is not something that will long lasting. This feels gross. And we're going to speak later that not all kedusha, not all klipa is evil. We can use it to elevate it and make it holy, but we have to be mindful of what it is so we know what we're dealing with, right? And so this is a little summary of our animal soul, predominantly in the body, in the brain, in the heart. And we will continue next week with the second part of chapter 6.